It's round 1 of 2017 and Brands Hatch. Thundersport GB is go for its 10th season and the Sparklight Racing Golden Era Supersports. The champion is back with us and I am delighted to see that there's a number 1 plate on that bike. I'll talk more about that in a moment as we see the grid all forming. Number 5 there is Robert Goodall, a regular now in this class. And there's Adam Darnell, teammate to Chris Helliwell, both actually backed by Sparklight Racing, of course, the sponsor of this class, although I should just add there is no favouritism at all to those riders. It's just a matter of they are riding on Sparklight Racing machinery. Here we go then, the lights go out. As you can see, slightly wet surface, not completely wet, but wet enough to not opt really for the driest option tyres, although it's been declared a wet race. You can effectively race what you want. You'll see a few dry patches out on circuit as we head up to Druids for the first time. Chris Helliwell, the champion of last year. He wasn't just champion last year, he absolutely demoralised the rest of the field. A bit further back there you can see that beautiful Ducati 748, number 14 of Brad Davey. Number 53 there is Rob Morby, a double Thundersport 500 senior champion, just up ahead of number 7, another former Thundersport 500 rider, Eop Miduk, that's Dave Grace, Peter Pan Racing. But at the front of this one you can see Helliwell leading in the early stages from Robert Goodall, and then Adam Darnell looking to try and catch up with his teammate. 114 and 24 there as well. John Wright is 114, 24 Andy Scanlon, who is looking on his Stubble Racing orange Yamaha R6 for a season to remember. He had a lot of bad luck at times in 2016, that number 24. He really wants to try and fight for this championship. Number 16 there as well, Luke McRae on his Yamaha. The Golden Era Supersport is back as ever. Of course, you remember the days, the old world Supersport days of Whittam and Casoli, and they're all having a good old fight. Well, this is it, basically. We also have, of course, a steel frame championship within this Golden Era Supersport for bikes around the same area, but of course from the same era, but with steel frames. So they are regarded as steel frame or Steelsport, whichever one you like, and normally they feature well inside the top 10 of the outright race overall. Steve Day here, Thundersport Sid alongside me. Sid, great to have Chris Helliwell here defending his championship. Chris has been a Thundersport boy now for so many years, but what I'm really pleased with is the fact that he's gone for the number 1 on his bike, because how many years now? I suppose it's just become the modern thing to do, to run your own number, but I still love seeing a number 1 plate on a bike.
Well, you've earned it, haven't you? You know, it's and I think it's the right thing to do. But riders are very superstitious about their numbers, and they're very superstitious in general. You know, they wear the same coloured underpants, which is a bit unfortunate if they only bring one set of those coloured underpants with them to a race meeting, because that means they have to turn them inside out a few times over the weekend. But you know, it's that kind of thing. But you know, that's
Phil
a nasty
Cox.
one.
Ian Evans and Phil Cox come together there. Phil Cox, of course, father of Sam Cox, who's raced with us for some time. He's up and he's walking away. Well, Phil Cox is just celebrated a birthday, but that is not a big birthday present for Phil, unfortunately. Nasty crash. It could have been a lot worse, but he and Ian Evans, one of our British Army riders, just had a coming together. Not really anyone's fault, just one of those things up into Druids.
Shame his bike is so beautiful as well, isn't it? I think last year, you know, it was as much a shock to Chris Helliwell as anyone else the way he scorched off with it, because there's no real rhyme or reason. He just got his tail up, got his confidence, and he was away with it. He was on Avons last year, did really, really well with them, as to be said, obviously, and he's trying Michelin's this year.
Oh, it looks like there might be a foot peg or something there, just up at Druids, where Phil Cox went down, and Andy Scanlon on the orange bike there, number 24, almost ran over it. He is just trying to find a way past Robert Goodall. Now, both of these guys on their day can win races. They have done in this class before. At the moment, none of them look likely to catch Chris Helliwell, who's already trying to pull off into the distance. But you can see the spray there. Up the inside, lovely move there from Andy Scanlon. But here is your race leader. Full wet tyres, as you can see, for Chris Helliwell, looking smooth as ever. Just going back to the number 1 plate, just to prove your point on superstition. This is a statistic for you. Last year, Jonathan Ray, winning the World Superbike Championship with the number 1 plate, was the first rider in any form of World Championship to win a championship with the number 1 plate on since Carl Fogarty.
Good Lord.
that just goes to show you how superstition has gone. I think you have to look at the likes of Valentino Rossi. That gives you an example. The 46 that's always stayed there. Marc Marquez has done the same thing. Jorge Lorenzo tried the number 1 out, didn't work, so he's stuck with number 99. And
Maybe they're right.
And other than that, everybody else who has tried the number 1 plate has ultimately failed to then go on and win. So maybe it is just superstition at the moment. It's working for Chris Helliwell, and he is going very well indeed. Of course, the Yamaha R6 in Golden Era Supersport at the moment, Sid, still the weapon of choice. It is still a marvellous machine.
Well, from the Golden Era, it was the bike that moved all the goalposts again, wasn't it? I mean, it was just outstanding. You had one yourself, you know very, very well. It was the bike to have in the day, you know, until the complete new breed came out of all the bikes, the new GSXRs, etc., etc. But, you know, at this particular time, it was the one to have. And back to Andy Scanlon, who is also obviously on an R6 5EB, you know, but with these conditions, he'll sort of be a bit tense, because last year he had a big off and ripped his shoulder apart, and that was what wrecked his season. Now, he won't want to see Chris Helliwell scamper off into the distance points wise, but he will want to take care that he doesn't throw it at the scenery. Now, Chris missed a bag of points yesterday in one race. He didn't manage to get out there.
Someone's gone down. Someone's gone down the road. Oh, I was about to say how beautiful that bike looked. That is the number 72, Dave Curtis on the Ducati. An absolutely stunning looking machine.
Beautiful thing.
It doesn't look quite so stunning now in the gravel trap over at Clearways Corner. I hope he's okay, and I hope the bike's all right. But, I mean, there are some beautiful bikes in this class, and that was one of them. So that's a shame to see, but I'm glad he's okay.
Isn't everybody, though, paying so much attention to the look of their bikes these days, Steve?
Yeah.
I mean, it is absolutely brilliant. The time spent in the garage must be phenomenal.
No, it's great to see, because you don't want to see these bikes that are lining up on the grid with bits of duct tape hanging off them, and they are taking their time, and a lot of them have spare fairings that are just as beautiful, ready to put on in case the worst happens out on circuit. At the moment, Chris Helliwell, the champion, is away with this one out front. Here he is with the number 1 plate on that Sparklight Racing. Chris Helliwell looking to try and win back-to-back championships. And then it's just a fight now for second place between Adam Darnell and Andy Scanlon. But through the traffic at the moment, 1 or 2 advantages taken there for Adam Darnell so far. There he is. So it's a 1 and 2 for the Yamaha Sparklight Racing team. Further back, Luke McRae is inside the top 5, the number 16. Look at all this lot. There's number 65, by the way. That's David Langley. Now, he is in the top 6 of this race overall, but he is the leading steel frame competitor, as he's just been overtaken there by Luke McRae. But this is a massive battle. You might just see a few ringers out there. You might think to yourself, hang on a minute, there's a few bikes out there that are not Golden Era. That's because there are a couple of new 600 riders that didn't quite make it onto the grid for the pre-national 600s. They all get a chance to race still, but they're out there in this one. So
if you get accepted for an entry at Thundersport GB, you race. That is it. That's simple. Just as a by the way, Adam Darnell, you know, didn't have a lovely time when he started up with us, but then got introduced to Sparklight Racing, and the same with Chris Helliwell. You know, the arrive and drive moment where you hire the bike and everything else. It changed him completely. And you know, if you can afford to do that, and I'm not saying that it's actually any dearer, because Adam thinks that it's actually cheaper, he has just... It says it's marvellous to just turn up with your caravan or whatever and have your bike all prepared, ready to go out for every race, and all you have to do is ride it.
Yeah, well, some riders will absolutely love that. They'll be right up their street, and it obviously is the case for Adam Darnell. Others much prefer to tinker around with their own bike. They like to bring it along. So there will be a type of rider that this suits. Now, the last lap flag is out. Helliwell here could just cruise around as he puts a lap on Dave Grace. That is a statement that I don't think I'll be saying for the rest of the season, because Dave Grace He's a good rider, and gradually he will pick himself up. Darnell there is still in second place with Andy Scanlon in third. Luke McRae fourth. David Langley, our Royal Air Force Motorsports Association rider, leads the steel frames. He's in fifth. Robert Goodall struggling a bit in this race. That's a surprise. He's still in there or thereabouts, and he's just up ahead of Richie Harrison, who of course has been in this class for a while now. He's switched colour schemes and bikes for this year. He's out on a Yamaha on the EB Racing machine, but it looks like Helliwell's got this one. Still, that looks like, is that a foot peg still in the middle of the circuit there? It's such a huge field that, of course, it would be a bit dodgy on such short laps for somebody just to run out and try and pick that up. But they're being notified. A lack of adhesion flag is up at Druid, so they know that there could be something on circuit. But doesn't matter. Checkered flag is out. Number one, he points to it on the front of his Yamaha, and Chris Helliwell has won race one with ease here at Brands Hatch, and he is absolutely delighted with that. The champion is still the man to beat as far as we're concerned here. Adam Darnell, his teammate, was 18 seconds adrift in the end, but he does pick up 20 points for second. Andy Scanlon was third, Luke McRae fourth, David Langley fifth, and Robert Goodall in sixth. The two podiums then, there's Helliwell, Darnell and Scanlon, and in the steel frame competition, David Langley the winner from Brad Davey and John Wright. We will be back then with more action, as we see this accident again between Phil Cox and Ian Evans in just a moment. Race 2 coming up shortly. Curve, and Harry Truelof thought about a move, and here comes Milo Ward as well. Will there be any change at the front? No. And where's Milo Ward? Oh my word! That was unbelievable. Milo Ward comes off his bike, cartwheels across in front of Harry Truelof and Davey Todd, and that could have been catastrophic. Time for race 2 for the Sparklight Racing, Golden Era Supersport and Steelsports. Chris Helliwell unstoppable earlier on in race 1. The sun is still shining. The circuit a little drier, I think it's fair to say. And wet tyres will have been put to one side, I think. Chris Helliwell there, skid marks as he's known, nickname-wise. He'll be hoping that he won't have too many skid marks on those leathers throughout this 2017 season.
I think that's for his underpants, Steve, actually.
Oh, okay, well, fair enough. I'm glad you mentioned that and not me. The red lights are on. We're ready to go racing here for race 2. Can anyone stop? Chris Helliwell, away from the line we go. And Helliwell got off to a decent start. I think everyone got away well, including Robert Goodall. He did, and Goodall looks like he might just squeeze underneath Helliwell to get the whole shot into Paddock Hill Bend. We're on board now with Helliwell, and he did. He lost out on first place, and also Goodall's got that inside line going crucially into Druids Corner. Number 16 off to a good start as well, Luke McRae. As we saw there, Rob Morby just going through. Huge Deluge further back, number 75. Always worth mentioning. Our Forces riders out on circuit. Number 5 then Robert Goodall coming out of Graham Hill Bend onto the Cooper Straight has the advantage from Chris Helliwell and 16 McRae. Where is Adam Darnell? Where does he feature? Of course, the teammate to Helliwell finished second in race 1 as they come around. He's there in 4th place. No, he's not. He's way back. There he is, number 63. Bad start there then for Adam Darnell with a lot of work to do. Just a couple of places up ahead of Brad Davey. That was actually John Wright who was in 4th place, a steel frame rider on the Controls and Safety Limited Honda number 114. On board with Helliwell around the outside. It's a Paddock Hill Bend. That's how you do that. Brilliant stuff from the champion. That is brave around Paddock Hill Bend. Robert Goodall, no answer for him up at Druid. There is your leading steel frame competitor. Then it's Richie Harrison, Adam Darnell, Andy Scanlon, David Langley and Dave Grace as they make their way around Druid's Corner. There is Robert Goodall. Expected a bit more from him in race 1, but it was tricky conditions. What can he do here in the dry as they make their way around Surtees Corner? As much as we loved to see Chris Helliwell last year winning the championship, I think there weren't many people unhappy to see it. Sid, perhaps, apart from his rivals, but we do want to see some close racing this year, don't we?
Yeah, and I think you will. Certainly, when you get the first round rust and gremlins out of the way, I think you're going to see some serious competition in this class. And I think also, that Chris knows this. And so he's making hay while the sun shines, which is probably not a very good pun for this one. But I think that you're going to find some serious competition for Chris. Trust me.
Well, here he is at the moment, and he has got this advantage as he exits Graham Hill Bend. Chris Helliwell, you can see just from looking at the circuit there with the dry tyres and the sun beating down later on in the day here at Brands Hatch in March that, okay, it's still cool, but it's a lot drier than it was earlier on. In fact, they are already down to matching or getting close to Carl Foster's Golden Era Supersport lap record, and that's saying something in conditions like this because it's not warm out there at all. Rob Morby just going through there ahead of number 31, Steve Chadwick, and number 3, Adrian Bridges. It looks like he's got a bit of patchwork to do on that motorcycle. A few bits of grey duct tape on the front of it.
I think he had a bad test day.
There is number 65, that's David Langley, just going up the inside of Peter Pan Racing Dave Grace. I'm presuming that Peter Pan Racing is because he hasn't grown up yet and he doesn't think he ever will.
I don't think he will, Doug.
And I think that certainly reflects his personality somewhat. There is number 3 then, Adrian Bridges, making up a place up at Druid's Corner. Sometimes, Sid, camera angles here at this circuit, of course they're all doing their very best and we try our very best, but it doesn't quite give you, everybody knows about Paddock Hill, the undulations there, but here particularly at Clearways, the undulations where it goes up and then downhill, this whole circuit, okay, there's only 6 corners, but this is a technical track.
Really technical, and you, as you say, and I always have said that the TV flattens this right out. You've got no idea, even from the side of the circuit, you don't necessarily see it. It's when you actually stand on that circuit and you actually see the undulations. That is the big thing. By the way, Chris on those new Michelins, he reckons that he loves them a bit. So that's the only problem from point of view of competition that we mentioned earlier, is that if he really does love them and continues to get on with them and nobody else gets on them, then he probably will fly off.
Further back in the pack there, we just saw 24 Andy Scanlon and Richie Harrison having a scrap. Robert Goodall at the moment isn't being completely dropped by race leader Chris Helliwell. There is David Langley. Oh, blimey, Dave Grace there. Did he take almost a punt up the backside from Brad Davey, our former Street Fighter C champion from a few years back? He's going well. There is Scanlon again, number 24, up ahead of Richie Harrison, whose brother, of course, was a champion with Thundersport and actually came out for a play, I think, last year at one round as well. Wonder whether we'll see Jonathan out again this year. There is a couple of back markers just getting tangled up there. There is Helliwell.
You see, we're talking about various things. I mean, I don't know yet until we see the end of this race. But Andy Scanlon could be leading the championship because he finished both races yesterday, and second, and I think he got a fifth. And then in race one, he got a third. Now, if he finishes reasonably well in this, consistency is the key. You only have to look at Charlie Morris in the Sportsman Elite 600 last year. Unbelievable. He only won one race.
Yeah, well, like we've said so many times before, you can easily lose the championship. You can't win it in round one. But if you can come away from here with a big bundle of points and a bike in one piece, then that is a major, major bonus, because the season, you never really get the feeling that the season properly starts until we get to Donington. Round two, it starts to warm up, of course. Spring has begun. The sun is out. Well, fingers crossed anyway.
It has snowed.
It has snowed at round two at Donington Park before, so I'll be careful what I say.
Yeah.
But
commentators curse.
Well, we'll see. Anyway, further back there is number 16, McRae, now being charged down by Andy Scanlon. Adam Darnell is still in the mix as well. Let's not forget about him. There is number 114, John Wright, who leads in the steel frame competition ahead of Dave Langley a couple of places further back. We've got Brad Davey there as well. Now, Brad Davey there, number 14, on that Ducati 748, is obviously on a steel frame machine as well. So he is at present third in class, but he's got the leader in sight. Dave Grace is in amongst those steel frame riders at the moment on his Yamaha. As we see there, Adam Darnell just putting a lap on Ian Evans. Ian, of course, a regular now at Thundersport GB, one of our British Army riders. Nice to see him out there. I didn't see Phil Cox heading back out in this second race after his crash from race one, so I hope he's all right.
He's still crying in his milk, I would imagine.
Oh.
He's probably bathing his bike with TCP, Steve.
Here is Helliwell then. He's still doing it. Now, I can tell you that the lap record of Carl Foster, of course a former champion himself, has gone. And that is impressive stuff. Chris Helliwell has got the lap record. So they're under that. That is amazing.
Yeah, in not so cracky conditions either. I mean, we're not talking about a heat wave here, are we?
Certainly not. No, it's very chilly indeed. You can see the marshals on the side got hats on and their full jackets. Of course, credit to all of the boys and girls in orange that continue to support and volunteer with Thundersport here at round one. There is McRae, number 16. He's currently still up inside the top 5 and is just lapping one or two riders. Here is your champion though, and Robert Goodall, Sid, is closing. He's had a good couple of laps himself. In fact, he too is on lap record pace and is not going to let Chris Helliwell off here. There's the last lap flag is out. Across the line we go, and then side by side, Robert Goodall fancy to look up the inside into turn 1. So maybe this isn't going to go quite to plan for Chris Helliwell. He's got to put in a good lap here. He's certainly got the speed around Paddock Hill Bend. Up at Druids, there's one overtaking opportunity gone.
Wonder if he's got +0 on his pit board.
That would be the thing to have on the pit board, that's for sure. Robert Goodall here is just hoping for the slightest error from Chris Helliwell. Around Graham Hill Bend, that was rounded perfectly by Chris Helliwell. So Robert Goodall now really running out of time. Into Surtees, still not close enough. Will the traffic, as Sid says, play a part here as they go around the outside? Well done there from Chris Helliwell. That was done really well. And Robert Goodall has to go a little bit wider around Ian Norris. But here we go then. The checkered flag is out. Well, it was closer, but no cigar for Robert Goodall. Chris Helliwell does the double on Sunday here at Brands Hatch. The champion does it again. Number 1 for a reason. Great race though, much better than race 1 in the dry and under lap record pace. Robert Goodall takes second place behind Helliwell. Adam Darnell was in a comfortable third in the end, ahead of the yellow R6 of Luke McRae. Andy Scanlon was 5th and Richie Harrison in 6th. Top 3 in the Sparklight Racing Golden Era Supersport then is Helliwell, Goodall and Darnell. In the steel frames, it was John Wright from David Langley and Brad Davey. Let's look at the points then. So we head to Donington Park. Oh, it's close, as Sid said. It's actually 6-point advantage for Adam Darnell over his teammate Chris Helliwell. Robert Goodall's there in 3rd with 63. Andy Scanlon 4th, but that is close. In the Steelsport, 10-point advantage for John Wright over David Langley. Brad Davey is not far behind at all there in 3rd place. Ian Evans in 4th ahead of Robert Dodd and Andrew Goodall. That is it then from round 1 in 2017. The season has begun. Hopefully we'll see more of that blue sky and less of the grey at Donington next time out at round 2.